DFM Bassoon Quartet, and they'll be part of the gathering on May 29th, or Gala Night actually, as the last night of our 10th anniversary celebrations. I'm Kevin Ormsby, the program manager at CPAMO, and delighted to have you be a part of this particular interview process where we're talking with artists that will be basically performing at the gathering. So it's simple. It's just a couple of questions, and it's a very informal conversation around what you do, how you do it, what you think about the artistic placement in Canada today. Knowing that many people are talking like a bassoon quartet. What's that? What's that? No, it's not jazz. It's not this. It's a bassoon quartet. But it's really animating the digital space with conversations around the work that you do. So the first question is just to tell us about your artistic practice. I know that song is not necessarily, it's a pop song that is being played in bassoon. Many of the viewers might not know that, right? So if you just tell us about what you do, how you do it, maybe how long you've been dancing. I'm a dancer. How long you've been performing together, the sort of history of the band, that'd be great.
So I think we started in 2011. Was it about there?
I think so. In our first formation.
Yeah, we've had a few different iterations. We started as just 4 women who played bassoon, and over the years we've sort of changed up a little bit to have a couple of men. One of them is not here today, but and also we've added Laura as the drummer. And we are the world's first and still only electric bassoon quartet. So we've been acoustic today, but we do have special doodads that fit onto our bassoons, and we plug them into guitar pedals, and all sorts of sounds come out that do not resemble the bassoon.
That don't quite fit in orchestra.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, typically we sit at the back of the orchestra where we don't get to have a lot of fun. So this is our way of sort of breaking out and getting to play music that we don't get to play a lot and pretending we're rock stars.
And we're all freelance bassoonists, so we all play like legitimate orchestral repertoire together. And we know each other from orchestral settings. We've all worked together in orchestras and different ensembles, and it just gives us sort of a chance to push the boundaries of what the bassoon's able to do. There's lots of beautiful music for bassoon in the orchestra as well, of course, but you can't play the Beatles in orchestra, you can't play Judas Priest in orchestra, you can't play Madonna in orchestra. So it just gives us a chance to let our hair down and just push the envelope a little bit, because the bassoon has a lot of capabilities that the orchestra doesn't afford us. So we're lucky that way.
And generally when I tell people I play bassoon, you kind of get the blank stare. And they're kind of like, I think I've heard of it before.
It's like a big
and so they have to explain it's the big bedpost, and they're kind of, you get the like vague recognition. And the main thing, people say, I don't think I've heard the bassoon by itself. And it's just such a good sort of blendy sound that fits into orchestra that it's nice to kind of take it out and be like, by the way, this is what it actually sounds like, and get to have a moment in the sun for itself. Yeah.
There's 2 things I want to touch on, but before I do that, are there 2 types of bassoon, the French bassoon and the German bassoon?
Wow, someone's been me.
Wow.
Could you explain maybe the difference between the 2?
Yeah, so the German system is what's commonly played pretty much everywhere these days, which is what we have. So there's a ton of keys on the back, which you actually only use your thumbs to play, and then a couple of spots for finger holes on the front. So I think we're at 23, 24 keys on the German system.
9 just for your left thumb alone, and 4 more for your right thumb alone. So it's pretty crazy.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, and so the French system, it developed separately, and it's closer to the Baroque bassoon, which only has about 9 keys, 10 keys. It doesn't have as big of a sound. It's a little airier and lighter,
and just
but can play high easier than the German bassoon.
Much easier. Yeah.
But I, in the song you were just playing, I heard high notes and high keys. So definitely you guys are way ahead of the French in terms of how you can do both the German and the French syncopation or intonations on the German. So that's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. I wanted to get back to that place that you created with the ensemble. This place where, yes, you worked in orchestra, but realized that there was a need to create something different, to have a different way of actually looking at music, and in this case, the bassoon. Could you tell us about some of the things that led to that, those thoughts in your mind?
I think we just really wanted to be able to play music that we weren't really allowed to play and just have fun. We started off, I don't think we even really planned if we were going to have a show. We just wanted to get together, and
It's just like Friday night social thing. And, you know, when you play bassoon, what do you do on Friday night? You get together with your friends and play quartets, I guess.
And then when we discovered that you can actually electrify these things, we thought, well, we should explore this. And we started playing in bars instead of concert halls, and discovered that we had an audience there, and kept going with it.
And it's also been a bit of an exploration for each of us. Our very first show, Catherine, who's the composer in the group and main arranger in the group, was very busy, and we didn't have a full set of music. So I kind of had to take the reins, and I learned how to arrange for Bassoon Quartet. And so we've all sort of taken different roles within the group and sort of expanded our own development as all-around musicians, which has been kind of fun too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that the world necessarily needed an electronic bassoon quartet, or it didn't know that it did. So like when we go to an open mic and play, people, as we were setting out, people would be like, what is that? But then the response we get is always favorable, because you're just not going to hear this at the bar you went to last weekend or the bar you're going to go to next weekend. I play on the left-hand side whenever we perform, so I'm often nearest the door, and I play the bass line often, so my part's a little less fingery than theirs, and sometimes I'll catch views of the passers-by going by, and we always turn ahead. So it's cool to be able to offer like a unique listening experience for audience goers, because Torontonians like to hear live music, and the people that come in here as play, outside of our own gathering of friends and colleagues, are people who I think are, they're treated to great musicians all the time, but we're outside of the usual rock combo or the usual folk combo that you would see at an open mic or at a bar show. So it's fun to sort of bring people into that, and it's fun to see familiar faces in the crowd that aren't friends of ours or aren't, colleagues of us in the orchestra or our moms. It's cool. It's cool like people will come and check it out, or suggest certain pieces. Oh, I think would work for bassoons, blah, and then they'll throw it at us, and one of the geniuses in the group will take it and arrange it, and it sounds like $1 million. So it's really fun. There really isn't any arrangement that we've done where I think maybe not. Like it's a real challenge. Luckily, 4 of the 5 members of the ensemble are very creative in the way they arrange music. So I'm the one who's not. So it's amazing what we come back with. So we'll be driving home from an orchestra gig, and one of us will muse, oh, wouldn't it be great if we did Conga by Miami Sound Machine? And then 2 months later, one of them will produce it from their bassoon case, and we'll read it, and it's amazing. It's so much fun. It's really amazing. I enjoy it so much.
Could you explain, I know that you're a percussion and the drums, but what is it for you to actually support the bassoon ensemble?
Well, I'd say when I first joined, when Catherine asked me if I would play with the bassoon ensemble, I said, and not because I didn't want to, it was because I've had experiences playing as a percussionist with ensembles that don't mic. Mm-hmm. And if you're playing a lot of drums on top of them, you just drown them out. And then it just becomes this really if you have to play a loud piece and then you're having to draw it back so much just to be underneath the instruments, it can be really it kind of takes the gonads out of the piece sometimes, right? I was like, but they said, okay, all right, let's try it. So I came out with my drums, and of course it was too loud. So it's been this, for me, it's been this kind of weird, up and down, because I started with my drum set with these guys, and then they weren't electrified at that point. They were still acoustic. And so I thought, okay, maybe I'll go to the cajon. So it was on a whim, I think, at a show downtown. I brought out the cajon, and I had done some arrangements of the piece we were doing with the cajon, and some other different cymbals and the foot tambourine and stuff like that. And it just worked so well. But then the funny thing was, as they started to electrify more, and when you see them play like electrified, like Susan and Catherine have more guitar pedals than like a guitarist. Like effects guitarists. Like their pedal boards are this big. So what started happening was I had to mic home, and I was blowing my fingers out trying to keep up with them. So I have actually switched back over to playing the drum set with these guys because it's just a lot. It's just it just is more effective now. So it's kind of neat. But in an acoustic setting, we still have the option of doing this. So it kind of goes both ways. So it's been a really up and down, but I'm really glad I did. And I have a deep love for bassoonists and bassoons now that I never thought I would have before.
There seems to be an innate collaborative nature with the work that you do. And I'm wondering, could you talk about the sense of experiment and exploration that you guys have as an ensemble?
Sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, could you speak a little bit more about the sense of experiment and exploration that you have as an ensemble? Like when you get into that rehearsal hall or rehearsal room, wherever you're rehearsing, how does it all come together? How do you listen? How do you just go, that key, this key, no key?
Well, I think it all definitely stems from the arrangements. Whether we're playing memorized, we do arrange the songs for ourselves. So it all starts from a piece of paper with 4 bassoon lines, and we let Laura just do whatever she wants. Which I think has also been a bit of a journey for you, because you have experience playing in cover bands.
Yeah.
And so she came to our first rehearsal and was like, but this is how the song goes, you guys. And we're like, but we arranged it different. So, that was a bit of an adventure in itself. And I think it's all helped us grow a lot. And we do, every once in a while we'll play something and Graham goes, I remember there being 4 more bars in the song. So, we change and add a couple more repeats. Or it's way too long to do the whole thing. So we kind of chop it down and do our own version. We love the medley.
Good medley.
Yeah.
I love a one-hit wonder.
So I think a lot of the collaboration starts from the fact that we are sort of making the songs our own. The fact that we do share melodies. Most of the time, as you're arranging a song, you're like, oh, well, poor third bassoon has only been playing one note the whole time, and Graham doesn't get a better part because he's stuck on the bass line playing contra bassoon. But, you kind of share the melody around, and you think about what kind of pedal boards people have. Catherine has a really cool pedal where you push it and then the note just holds forever. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, I have to use that. So I think, just knowing what people are capable of and their skills, it's kind of been fun for us to arrange things that way, and that's sort of where things start.
And a lot of exploration with the electronics, especially because we have different sounds off the bassoon. Add electronics to it and it just adds whole other dimension. So there was a lot of discussion, especially towards the beginning of the electrifying, is if we're all playing with distortion pedals, should we have the same sound or should we have different sounds, or how that sort of works? Because bassoons naturally sort of blend with each other quite a bit. So now we have this whole other dimension of, we could actually not blend if we wanted to.
But Susan did write me a cowbell part once.
I did. It was a Christmas present.
It was from Don't Fear the Reaper, so it was just blah, 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 blah. Fantastic.
it was virtuosic.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah.
So with this sense of experimentation, collaboration, virtuosity, what can we expect at the gathering on the 29th?
Lots of silliness. I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Some good 80s and 90s rock tunes. It's going to be a party, I think. Yeah.
Well, it's a great way to go out with a bang. It's our 10th anniversary, so I think we're looking for many ways to celebrate. To end, do you mind if you can all just comment on this idea of contemporary Canada and how important it is to understand different music genres in contemporary Canada, to experience different music, to live music, to recorded music. Can you just share some thoughts on that?
Well, Canada is so incredibly diverse, and the city that we live in is so incredibly diverse within that diversity. And I think for me personally, having a classical, legitimate bassoonist training, it's just sort of allowed me within a sort of scope that I'm comfortable with. It's allowed me to sort of push the envelope of my own musical development. And it's a pleasure to be able to, to go to a bar and share the bassoon with people for very likely the first time. Or to go to a bar and play for our classical musician friends who are professional violinists or pianists and come and hear us do something that they've never heard before either. And it just sort of is, if you can do something to add to like the cultural fabric of a city in an incredibly small way that we do, then it's an honor to be able to do that. So that's sort of what excites me most about what we do, is that it is something different. It's something that nobody else is offering, and it's something that we would do on a Friday night with nothing else to do, the four of us anyways. But if we can, bust out of one of our living rooms and do it in a bar instead and just sort of spread the joy on it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, contemporary music in Canada. I think Graham hit a lot of it. It's about diversity. I think it's also about experimentation, which we certainly do a lot of, and pushing the envelope and just trying to challenge perspectives and perceptions.
There are so many talented people doing so many amazing things, and I think that's part of it too. And not necessarily in one genre, but looking at other genres. And my background, yes, I am a classical bassoonist, but my dad got me into classic rock early on, and listening to popular radio, and there's just so many great things happening that can influence you and really sort of push you to be a better version of yourself, or take your art a little bit further, or seek new collaborations. And
yeah, I think in Canada, because we're such a new country relative to a lot of other countries in the world, we don't have that sort of outside of we have no history really, like us who are more or less colonists, I guess. We don't have the history, so we have to create the history. And this is kind of a neat way to do it, because we're using something that people know and combining it with something that people really don't know and bringing it to them. That's kind of what I think.
Thank you. I think there's so much beautiful things there. Taking your own art a little further, it is something that is resonating with me in a different way. And again, taking the history and also the contemporary living in style and life and putting it into what you guys have done. So thank you very much. I look forward to seeing DFM Bassoon Quartet with a percussionist on May 29th as part of the CPAMO gathering or 10th anniversary celebration. Thank you.
Thank you very much.